Hi everybody, welcome to week 6 of the Pacific Northwest Life Sew Along. This week we're making the raccoon block. I talked about it a little bit last week. It's got a lot of pieces, but we're going to walk through it step by step and it's not going to be scary at all once we get started on it. I hope you have your block cut out and I hope you have all of your pieces labeled. This week we're using background, of course, black, medium gray, and light gray to compile this block. All right, you can see that I had to get my big girl board out this time because there's so many pieces it wouldn't fit on my little project board. And I also had to get in the big girl pack of alphabeties because we're cutting through DD. So we're going through the entire alphabet and then we're doing AA, BB, CC, and DD. You can see some of them here. AA is somewhere right here. So I got into my my auxiliary pack, I guess. So I love these. Use sticky notes if you want. It's all cut out. It's all labeled. And we're going to be referring to page 28 of our book. There is a link below if you're wanting to make one of these or several of these in several sizes, these little project boards. There's a link below to Be in My Bonnet for Lori Holt, with a step-by-step tutorial on how to put these together yourself. You can also buy these pre-done. I have both. I have some that I've made and I have some that I bought from Be in My Bonnet, Lori Holt. This one is, you'll see as we work through this, it's pretty raggedy. I've used it a lot and it's got a lot of threads stuck on it. All right, for the first step, referring to page 28 in our book, we're gonna make the flying geese for our raccoon ears. So you're gonna need your D pieces and you're gonna need your O pieces. Now, we walked through how to do flying geese last week. So I'm gonna get my glue ready. I'm gonna put just about 3 little dots in one corner of my flying geese unit, my rectangle. And then I'm gonna add, I'm gonna add D on top of it. Hit it with my dry iron, and then I'm going to sew from point to point right on my diagonal line. If you're not using the seam tape, make sure you draw a line on the wrong side of your D squares. I'm not going to draw the line because I'm using the diagonal tape. All right, so there we have our 2 little ears for our raccoon. Set those aside. We're going to have a lot to set aside through this block. Oh, not set them aside yet. Now we're going to put together the top piece of our raccoon. So we're going to add our C and B units to this and lay this out. So let me grab B. B goes between, and then let me grab the 2 little C's. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to sew this into a strip, and then we're going to set it aside. And all your pressing directions again are in your book, but you're going to press away from the flying geese for this step. All right, that's for your top of your block section for your raccoon ears. Now we're going to move on, and now we're going to make the next part of the head section. So we're going to use the flipped corner method, and we're going to use T and X and make 2 of these units. They're very similar to a flying geese, except you don't just have your 1/4 inch seam here at the top. You're going to have more of a seam so that the point is a little bit farther down your block. But we're going to construct them the same exact way we construct flying geese. So we're going to use X and we're going to use T. And again, you want to do one side, stitch right on your diagonal line. And then you're going to want to do the other side so that you can cut it, press it, flip it, and then sew the other one and not trap that one in, your first one in. Okay, I have already trimmed this 1/4 inch away from my stitching. I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice press with my starch pen. Now you can see if these were flying geese, this diagonal would have ended about 1/4 inch past the center of the block. And this one extends even farther than that. And that's because we're going to cut it like right here, and you're going to have the point so that you have some extra of the medium gray when you go to sew it into your next unit. So let me get this glued down. Okay, here you can see a better illustration of what I was talking about. All right, so now we've got these two X and T units, and now what we're going to do, now remember, I haven't mentioned it yet for this block, but because this is a face, we are doing 2 halves of this block mirror images of each other. So it's very important to follow along in your book so that you know which corners you're going to do what to, because you have a left side of the face, and I'm opposite of you, and you have a right side of the face. But you know, last time I tried to do it mirror image and I kept getting, or I tried to do it flipped for you, and I kept getting confused. So I can't do that anymore. My brain doesn't work that way. So unfortunately, your brain has to work that way if you're sewing along with me. So now you can see, I've grabbed the E's, and you can see how important it is for whatever way that you decide to label this, that you're labeling your pieces. Because otherwise you're gonna stop and you're gonna have to remeasure each one of your pieces and see if you're dealing with the right one. And we're all in shades of grays here, everything, the black, even the background is a very light shade of gray. So it's gonna get really confusing really fast if you don't have your blocks or your units, your pieces labeled. So now we're going to use the flip corner method, and we're going to stitch E on opposite corners of this unit. So we want to stitch E on this side. I'm going to glue it down, and then you want to stitch E, one on the left and one on the right. So don't get in a hurry and think you're making 2 of the same units. Everything is going to be a mirror image in this block except for the very center piece that joins our 2 halves of the face together. The little stripe down the raccoon's face. So now again, we're doing a flip corner, so we're going to stitch right on the drawn line. Okay, you can see on here on the really small squares, I just go ahead and trim with my scissors, but I trim maybe slightly less than 1/4 of an inch just to kind of reduce some of the bulk in there. And again, if you need any of these products that I'm showing here, the glue, the starch pen, the alphabet A's, anything that I use regularly, you can visit RebsFabStash.com, and she's got them all stocked and ready for the sew along. Okay, so there we go. We're starting to get the dimension in our raccoon face. So this is pretty exciting. So now what we're gonna do is grab E. Oh, no, we're not. We're gonna grab U. And we're going to start sewing the center of our raccoon face. So here we go. And we're going to sew this, this, and this together. And we're going to press, actually this time, we're going to press to these units. And that's so that when we sew our next unit on, everything will nest. Okay, look at this. Our raccoon is starting to take shape. We've got over the eyes, we've got the ears. Now, we're going to go on and we're going to stitch this to this, and then we're going to stitch A on each end. I've got my ears sewn to the top of my face, and now I'm just stitching A on each end of this. You can see that my seam allowance got a little off there, but I caught it. And I'm going to set this aside, and then we're going to start working on the cheeks, or the muzzle. Oh, next we're going to work on the eyes. I'll flip this around for you so you get a view of it this way. And we're going to set this aside, and we're going to start on the eye unit. We're going to do the eyes again, left and right. And using the eyes, we're going to stitch I to the top of P. So grab your I and your P. I, get it? So the first thing we're going to do is stitch I to P. And then we're going to press to the dark. And then we're going to stitch, let's move these over a little bit and get these all lined up. Then we're going to stitch J. Now remember, again, we're doing mirror images. J on each end, and then G, and we're going to press to J and H on each end. Press this way, and then we're going to stitch G to the top once we're done with that, and press to G. There we go. We've got our left and our right eye section put together. I'm going to flip this around now so it's facing for me. Good. Starting to come together. Starting to get a face. Okay, now we're going to work on the left and right muzzle unit. Now there's a lot to this one, and I'm just going to make the left one this time, and then I'll show you the right one finished. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch AA on the lower left corner of S. So let's grab one AA and let's grab one S. There's a lot of piecing to the muzzle, so we'll just take it once at a time. So we're going to use the flipped corner method, and we're going to stitch AA on the bottom left corner of S. Now your book tells you this, and it also shows you this. So then I'm going to stitch, I'm going to stitch from corner to corner right here. And this is going to be a little bit longer piece, and that's fine. That's what we want. All right, I'm going to trim this off. And then you've got your pressing arrows. This one is going to get pressed at AA to your light. Okay, so there you go. Now you've got your AA and S unit. The next thing you want to do is you want to use the flip corner method and stitch CC on the left corners of M. So let's grab our M piece, just one, and let's grab two of the CC pieces. And I can glue both of these because they're not going to overlap, so I want them on the left corners. And remember, I'm showing this to you backwards. You can follow along because the next time I'm going to make the opposite, but I am showing you this backwards. I'm sorry, my mind just doesn't work that way. Okay, now I want to trim about 1/4 inch away from my stitching. And now we're going to press to CC. So we're going to press to the dark this time. Okay, so now we're looking at this. Now what we want to do is we want to stitch R to the top of this. We only want one R. Now we want to stitch our M unit to the right of our S unit, and we're going to press to S. All right, and now we want to stitch Q, one Q to the top of this. Press to Q. And now we have the left muzzle unit done. And now I'm going to show you the right. We're going to speed it up, and I'm going to do the same thing, only in a mirror image for the right side. All right, now look at that. Now we've got our right muzzle section put together. And now we're going to use K, and we're going to use the flip corner method, and we're going to round out our faces. So grab your two Ks, and then you want to put a little bit of glue here. We'll do the left, and then we'll do the right. And you want to match up your corner, glue that down. In case you can hear my husband, he's talking to the dog, not to an adult, telling him to go potty. All right, and we're going to press to K. We're really starting to look like a raccoon now. All right, go ahead and turn to page 30 in your book. And now we're going to stitch the right eye unit to the top of the right muzzle. Now you want to press towards the eye unit. And now what you want to do is you want to stitch L on the top of Z, and you can go ahead and make 2 of these units. And you want to press towards Z, which is your little bit darker gray. Then you're going to want to put one on each side of your muzzle unit. Start with the left. And then you're going to want to press to the LZ unit. Do the same on your right. Press to your LZ unit again. Now we want to put even a little more dimension to the face, and in order to do that, we're going to stitch Y on the outside corners. So Y on the left corner of the left, and Y on the upper right corner of the right. So I'm going to put some glue down, and we're using the flip corner method again. Line it up with my face. And you're going to stitch right on your drawn line, and you're going to press to Y. All right, again, we're going to press to Y. And now we're going to do this one more time, and we're going to use F and do the same corners to round out our face. And again, in your book, this walks you through it graphic by graphic, step by step, both written directions and pictures, because I'm a picture person. Okay, and we're going to press to F. It's really starting to come together. It's really starting to look like a face. We're almost done. We only have a few pieces left. Look at how cute that is. Okay, so now we want to make this center section so that we can finish up our block. And to do that, we're going to sew V, and then we're going to sew the nose, which is DD, and then we're going to put W on the bottom of that. And then we only have 2 more pieces left. Okay, now you want to make sure, once you get this sewn together, that you're pressing to DD, which is the nose. And look at that, we've got our nose section. Now what we want to do is connect. Look at it, it's looking like a raccoon. Now we want to connect our 2 side pieces, our left and our right, to the nose section. So let's go this. Okay, so then you want to, when you get your nose section stitched in, you want to go ahead and press towards the nose. And remember, for this section, we pressed out. For this section, we're pressing in, and that's so these 2 will nest together. So let's see, the next thing we want to do is we want to stitch BB to the bottom of the face unit. We only have 1 of those. And we want to press towards BB. And now we have one more step before we want to attach the ears to our face, and that's N. We're going to stitch N on the lower corners of our face unit so that our face isn't squared off. Okay, trim off your corners here, 1/4 of an inch out from your stitched line, and then go ahead and press to N. We've used all of our pieces now. And now what we want to do is we want to stitch our ear unit to the top of our head unit. I may pin this. Nope, I'm not going to pin it. Okay, now we're going to press towards the face. And remember, we nested those in. They nested quite nice. This side's a tiny bit off. I'm okay with that. It's all gonna be, once it's quilted, you won't even notice those kind of things. But I am a little tiny off there. If that would bother you, you could go ahead and tear that out and ease that in a little bit better. Doesn't bother me, so I'm not going to. I can live with it. So there you go. Just like that, we have a raccoon block. Great job, everybody, for sticking with this one. This was a big one. This was one of the, probably one of the most, if not the most complicated block in the whole book. And again, you can see if you just break it down step by step, follow the directions, it goes together just like it's supposed to, piece by piece. So thank you so much for joining along this week, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.